talking about you recently.
Well, yeah, the kids were just so impressed with all the questions you asked. You saw the video with me?
No, I haven't.
There's a video that's on our website of your visit.
Oh, I gotta watch
Set to
this.
music and everything.
Oh, I gotta check
You
this
gotta
out.
tell Steve, send it to Steve.
I will do it. I'll make sure to see it.
Better
Better than Moby Dick.
It's incredible.
Better than Citizen Kane.
You gotta see the video.
Yeah, those kids were really amazing.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank your teachers.
Yep.
Teacher appreciation
I
week.
know. So you know what I'm doing? Taking the Butler Studies special card, handwritten note to every one of our 39 students.
Great.
Yep.
Congratulations. Yeah. Hi, Tina, how are you? Nice to see you again. How are you? Nice and happy here.
Yes, very much.
Got to meet your whole staff. Oh yeah, good, 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 good.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all your
Governor, how you doing? Welcome to the 30th.
You guys don't need this stuff.
Well,
We're already loud, right?
so you've got to fight traffic a little bit more.
No. Traffic is terrible. Going in.
Okay, but in the evening it's not bad.
Amazing, it's all coming out.
They're coming back.
I'm seriously.
Oh, standing right here?
Yeah,
Yes,
Senator Fain right there.
I know quite a few people who work out on your side of the state. Yeah, people are part of the county.
Where I live, Federal Way, North Bend, Maryville, all come in.
Because,
Hey, Jim, how are you? Good to see you.
Mayor, I'm doing great. Because they,
All right.
Oh my God, look at that. Right? I'm not used to this. I've got to. And whenever you're ready.
Okay.
one.
No. Can we just take this real quickly?
All right.
I think what we'll do is we just need to get everybody sort of prompted
Yeah.
at some point. But just give me, I'll give you the.
I'll be standing by here, but you will call Village on the up if you guys don't call.
That's right.
If it doesn't work out, I'll step in and chat.
Very good. Okay. Mia, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And it's not the health and trust fund. You gotta fix it. You gotta fix the GMA. That's it. And in fact, the question is, I know the advocates never go for it, is move the vote down, but an alternative is you go up. So you gotta go over.
Good point.
Yeah, that's not up. When they start from the resource, then you do. Like New York. Wherever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, of course, of course.
Still small shopkeepers, and three-story apartment. Well, you don't have no stars. We got two of those.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jim Farrell, Mayor of Federal Way. It's my honor to welcome you all here. It's great to see this many people and this great number of our residents and dignitaries present today. It's my special honor to welcome Governor Inslee, Attorney General Bob Ferguson, our own State Representative Mike Policiotti, our Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and members of the City Council. I will leave the other introductions to our state representatives and state senators to Mike Policiotti when I turn it over to him. As the mayor of the city of Federal Way, I'm honored to host this event wherein the governor is about to sign important bills aimed at helping victims of sexual assault and preventing human trafficking. Federal Way has been a leader in addressing these issues through our own City of Federal Way Police Department and through organizations like the Federal Way Coalition Against Trafficking. As a former criminal prosecutor for King County, I know how important it is to combat the scourge of human trafficking and to strengthen protections for sexual assault victims. Please join me in thanking Governor Inslee, Attorney General Bob Ferguson, State Representative Mike Policiotti, and all other elected officials in Olympia for their forceful stance against human trafficking and for their strong support of victims of sexual violence. Thank you. And now for State Representative Mike Policiotti.
Well, thank you, Mayor Farrell, and obviously thank you to the Federal Way Police Department who have been leaders on these issues as well. But I just want to thank all of you for coming today. I think this is an indication of just how important this issue is, not only for our community, but for the larger state of Washington. On my first day in the legislature, I've only been doing this about 4 months now, but on my first day, I introduced legislation to address sex trafficking. And part of that was because of my background as a criminal prosecutor who's prosecuted cases of sex trafficking and domestic violence. I knew, as well as other members behind me here knew, the laws need to better catch up with the times. And because of the work of the people behind you, these bills are now becoming law today. I want to just take a moment to introduce those who have led on this issue and have really made a difference in a bipartisan way, partnering to bring about the bills that are going to be signed by the governor today. I want to start off with Senator Darnell. If you can just wave her hand for her leadership. Representative Goodman, who is the chair of the House Public Safety Committee. I have the pleasure of being his vice chair on the House Public Safety Committee. Representative Mia Gregerson, who represents just north of here. Representative Gregerson. Representative Hansen, I don't believe is here, who has done a lot related to these issues. Representative Dolio represents Olympia. Representative Graves, who represents East King County. Senator Fain, who represents just east of here in the 47th District, we all know. Senator Milosha, who of course has been just a key partner in bringing forth a lot of these bills, and obviously is our state senator here, Senator Milosha. And Senator Tina Orwell, who is not here today, but for many of you know who've been working on these issues, has been just at the forefront for years working on these issues. And while it's unfortunate she's not here today, the legacy of her work will continue to go on. And Representative Jenkins, who is also here from the legislature, I think it's everyone who's here today. Already got Representative. I wouldn't miss the chair, my chair on the Public Safety Committee, Representative Goodman. No, we caught him early. Look, it gives you an idea, the different people coming together, different parties throughout the state in addressing this issue and how important it is. And the truth is, these bills cannot come soon enough. Just this week, the Federal Way Mirror reported how there was a victim who had previously attended Todd Beamer High School, who was a victim of sex trafficking here in our area. And just yesterday, Como was reporting how a large sex trafficking ring throughout Western Washington was intercepted by federal investigators, including which was taking place here in Federal Way. So this is an issue here, but it's an issue everywhere. But what's unique about here is we have a number of leaders, and I see them here in the front rows here from the Federal Way Coalition Against Trafficking, who are really doing amazing work here in our community to make sure that we're addressing the issue not only here, but throughout the larger region. And I also want to take this opportunity, since we have so many great people, May 20th is the Federal Way Coalition Against Trafficking Break the Chains Walk, which people from throughout Western Washington are going to attend, and I hope you all join as we come together to address the issues here in Federal Way. But look, you can't have a law or a bill become law without the governor. And the governor has been a leader on these issues of human trafficking ever since his first term. And I think now that you have a number of folks who've really come together to do a lot of great work here in the legislature to make these the law, this is something we can all be proud of as we make sure that the laws better catch up with the times in addressing these issues. So it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce the governor of the state of Washington, Jay Inslee.
Before I talk about these bills, I do want to note the great things that are happening in this community in Federal Way. I want to note one of them. We were at the Nautilus School a couple weeks ago looking at the unbelievably creative and innovative teaching that is going on at this school under the leadership of Superintendent Campbell. This is Teacher Appreciation Week. Can we applaud the great educators in Federal Way? I got to tell you, I'm just blown away. Thank you. And we're going to sign some important bills, but it's not just bills that can be involved in these efforts. All of us can be. Educators who are doing a great job teaching children not to bully each other. Fathers and uncles who are teaching nephews and sons to treat women with respect. The effort here needs to be a universal one across our community. So these bills are great things, but we need to do a lot individually as well. We know that today these are going to be very important bills we sign by providing protection for survivors, including those of sexual assault, human trafficking, and prostitution. This is a scourge that must be prevented, and victims must be protected. And today we're doing that in the state of Washington, and I'm darn happy about it. So congratulations to everybody involved in this. Now we have survivors with us today. This is hard to talk about this, but I want to give a tip of the hat to those who have been courageous enough to speak up. Their courage are going to prevent harm to others. Survivors like Rachel Groper, who's going to speak today. The bills we're signing today are it is a scourge. It is not too powerful of a word to call this a scourge. Look at the reality. 80% of Washington's women's sexual assault experiences occur before age of 18. Think how horrendous that is. Somewhere in America, a woman is raped every 2 minutes. Among adults who are developmentally disabled, as many as 83% of females and 32% of the males are victims of sexual assault. And what we have to realize, these are not just statistics, and these are not just somebody else's child. It's all of our children from all socioeconomic areas, from all communities, from all races. Everyone's child is a potential victim here. And that's why I love to see this bipartisan effort to protect all of our children. These bills are going to help survivors of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. We know that trafficking takes our most vulnerable youth and takes advantage of their emotional immaturity, their economic security, the fact that they've been traumatized themselves. Homeless youth are extremely vulnerable to trafficking. An advocate testified that a youth can be trafficked in as little as 2 days on the street. Think of that. Within 2 days of being away from their regular home, they suddenly are in the grips of a trafficking enterprise. Traffickers manipulate youth through offering meals, housing, telephones, drugs, and whatever else can get them in the grip of this terror. Unaccompanied minors, meaning undocumented immigrant children, are one of the population's most vulnerable to trafficking. Now, I'm proud to say that Washington State is a leader in efforts to address trafficking. Ours was the first state in the nation to pass laws specifically addressing trafficking back in 2003. And that was the right thing to do then. An estimated 293,000 children in the U.S. are in danger today of being sexually trafficked. Human rights investigations discovered minors were sold an average of 10 to 15 times a day, 6 days a week, totaling between 9,000 and 14,000 offenses a year. This is completely unacceptable in our communities. So I want to thank everyone for their work in this regard. I want to thank Mary Ellen Stone of the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center and her whole staff that have been such great advocates. We really appreciate what they're doing. I want to thank Trudy for her unstinting efforts. This is a topic that gets a lot of attention at the Inslee dinner table, and we're trying to meld this into success. I want to thank the legislators to acting on a bipartisan basis. And I particularly want to thank our Attorney General, who has really shone the spotlight on this and helped our state in so many ways, and his whole staff. We got to work together. This is a great start. It is not the end, but it is a great beginning. Bob, come on up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Governor, and please, all of you, please join me one more time giving a big round of applause for the Governor and Trudy Inslee for all their hard work. Thank you very much. You know, I was chatting with Senator Joe Fain, who's behind me, and he's a longtime friend of mine, and he's got a button on that says "Be loud," right? Be loud. And I'm not sure if it's related to this event, but what I appreciate about this huge turnout is folks are being loud on behalf of these issues that the governor is talking about, right? When I walked in the door, I was like, holy cow. I mean, this is a turnout from the community. Folks have been involved, folks are interested, legislators, grassroots supporters, you name it, folks really come together. It's just so inspiring to be a part of a gathering like this that really brings together the fruits of so much labor from so many individuals. I'm only going to add one statistic to what the governor mentioned. That human trafficking happens every day in Washington State, as everybody here knows. And law enforcement estimates that up to 500 teenagers, some children as young as the age of 12 years old, are working as sex slaves every day in King County alone. That's sobering. And the governor talked about how we are, and have been for many years, a leader in this effort. And what I appreciate as well is, hey, as a state, despite being that leader, no one is resting on those laurels by any stretch of the imagination. Quite the opposite. That this package of bills from all the legislators who you see behind me and others who couldn't be here today, I think speak to the need and the effort to continue our work and to make sure that we're protecting victims and giving prosecutors more tools to hold individuals accountable. I do just want to recognize one individual in my office who I think is right behind me. Yeah, Shaw's behind me. Shaw Telebi. Shaw, give a wave of your hand. Shaw, I stole Shaw away from the Kitsap County Prosecutor's Office where he was working as a prosecutor and working on these kinds of cases. And we're trying to put more resources in our office to bring these cases, sex trafficking cases. And now much of Shaw's time is going to be devoted now moving forward, essentially full time, to bringing these cases on behalf of the people through the Office of the Attorney General. So it's folks like Shaw in our office who are helping move the ball forward as well. I think that the legislators have already been thanked, and hopefully I'm allowed to give a special thank you to Representative Pleciotti. As many of you know, when he's not working as a legislator, he has a day job once session is over as an Assistant Attorney General in my office. And Mike's not just a colleague of mine at the AG's office, but he's been a longtime friend with his partner, Jamie. And to say he's hit the ground running as a legislator would be a significant understatement. So a big round of applause for Mike. And all the things and lastly, I just want to say to the advocates especially how much of a difference your work makes. And I speak as a former King County Council member where you hear from the public and deciding on bills. And sometimes people would ask me, hey, does public testimony make a difference? And I'm telling you it does. I'm telling you it does. I've been in the room with my colleagues on the King County Council when I served in local government where afterwards someone said, you know what, that person testified, it really changed my perspective. And so many of you have done that. And hearing from advocates, from people, not lobbyists, right, not folks who are paid to do it, but the advocates, the grassroots folks, makes a huge difference. You mentioned, Governor, the survivors. We'll be hearing from one of those survivors soon. But I know when I was watching the testimony closely, there's a woman, Joanna Holliday, who's a survivor. And she now works as an advocate for survivors. And you know, she gave such powerful testimony to say legislature. I mean, you could just see phones were down, nobody's looking at their computers, no legislators picking up their phone, none were stepping out of the room. They're all intently listening to her. And that's the power of a really strong voice grounded in a deeply personal experience and that has the ability to move mountains and legislation like this. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce the next speakers. One is someone I've known for a long time. Mary Ellen Stone was mentioned before. Mary Ellen's title is Executive Director of the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. We go back to my days on the King County Council. And also Rachel Grauper, who courageously shared her story of survival in order to help get this important legislation passed. Please welcome them both. Thank you.
Thanks, Attorney General Ferguson. I'm Mary Ellen Stone, King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. I wanted to say a couple things. This is a remarkable group. I'm so pleased to be here. I'm so thrilled to see all of you. KSARC gives voice to victims. We instill courage for people to speak out, and we give communities the tools to help change attitudes and behaviors. Our vision is a world free of sexual violence. And we know one of the ways to do that is to be loud. Now, the governor has a button, and our prime sponsor, Senator Fain, and Representative Goodman's have a button. I'll get you one for
need
sure.
one. Thank
I've
you.
got a
Yeah,
couple
my
extra.
thoughts about being a gift one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I thought I would have brought more. I'll bring you one. But we can't change what we can't talk about. So we need to be able to be talking about this. The other thing we know we need to do is to protect victims. And that's what makes the bill, the Sexual Assault Protection Order bill, so important, because that's what this does. Up until today, if a victim wanted to get a sexual assault protection order, he would go to court and get one for 2 years, and then go back another 2 years, and another 2 years, and that wasn't right, and that wasn't fair, and that didn't make the system work. So what we've been able to do with this bill is say the length of time for the protection order is set by the judge based on what the victim needs, not on this arbitrary 2 years. It is making all the difference, and I want to thank, especially in this partisan time, I want to thank our two prime sponsors. This has been a tremendously bipartisan, strong lift. And you know, we all need to laugh and be happy about this. I want to thank Senator Fain and Representative Goodman and all the people who made this happen. This has been 3 years in the making. And I particularly want to call out Callie and your family, because it was your boys that helped move this forward. And so thank you for standing up and for speaking out and being loud. Now let me turn this over to Rachel.
Good. Hello, everybody. My name is Rachel Gropper, and I am so thankful to everybody that this bill has passed. Being a victim of sexual assault it's disgusting, and you don't want to talk about it. And especially if your child is a product of that, then you just really want to, push it under the rug and wish it never happened. But when I finally had enough courage to report it, and which I did report it within the statute of limitations, he filed for parental rights. And having judges and attorneys and mediators say, I'm sorry that happened to you, but there's nothing we can do to help you. So we're going to have to just continue on with the parenting plan. And me fighting, saying this was never a relationship. He drugged me, and I ended up pregnant. This doesn't make sense. And now, and after having that nightmare, I went to the legislators. I talked to David Ward from Legal Voice, and he said, well, this is the perfect person to call. Thank you for calling. And he asked me if I wanted to speak to the House and the Senate, and I was like, well, not really, but if it will make a difference, I'll do it. And oh my gosh, that was so uncomfortable. And now, and I every day I would say, why did this happen to me? This doesn't even make sense. I'm not even a bad person. I love my daughter to pieces. She's my princess, and I need to protect her. And and now that this bill has passed, I finally am able to get this dirty rapist out of my life. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And I'm so, so glad that I had so many people on my side saying, no, this isn't right. Thank you for bringing this up. And, and I'm just so excited. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Let's move over behind the governor as he signs the bills.
contact order first. We ready, Stephen? Yep. Thank you. We are here today for signing House Bill 1079. The Attorney General requested this bill, which creates a no-contact order for victims of trafficking and prostitution. This new order provides more protection for victims of trafficking and prostitution and will allow for prosecution of violators. Representative Orwall, Senator Mike Padden were sponsors, and we thank everyone involved in this protective measure, which is going to help a lot of people. Congratulations, people. Good work. Let's give this to Tina. We're going to give that to Tina here. Okay. Yeah, we're going to make sure of that. We are about to sign Senate Bill 5030. This legislation also requested by the Attorney General to help vulnerable youth who have been trafficked. It modifies the crimes of commercial sex abuse of a minor, promoting commercial sexual abuse of a minor, and promoting prostitution by specifying that the crimes can be committed when providing anything of value, not just money. This takes into account the range of property, from meals, from housing, from drugs to phones, that are today used to entice and to ensnare and control victims. It also extends the statute of limitations for these crimes to the victim's 30th birthday or 10 years after the offense, whichever is later. Thanks to Senator Darneal and a companion bill sponsored by Representative Mike Bellicciotti. With that, pleased to sign this bill, and thanks to everyone involved in this protective measure.
All right, folks, Governor will be signing House Bill 1184. If you were involved in that, please come up and join the photo.
We've got a fourth bill. Okay. Okay, we ready?
Let's go.
We're here for House Bill 1184. This legislation offers a technical fix whose need has been highlighted during recent sting operations. It resolves the jurisdictional issue when an initial contact to patronize a prostitute may be made in one location and then the perpetrator travels to another to engage in the illegal act. It modifies the crime of patronizing a prostitute by specifying that it can be committed in any location in which the defendant commits any act which constitutes part of the crime. This will obviously make it easier to prosecute these crimes. Thanks to Representative Orwall and Senator Mike Padden, and I am signing this bill. All right. Mike here? No. Mike's not here. Well, let's get Mike a bill here. Let's make sure that that gets done. Everybody's going to get a whole bunch of pens today by the time we're done, see? Okay, good.
All right, folks, next we're signing Senate Bill 5256. If you were involved in that, please come up and join the photo.
Okay, ready?
Yep, ready to go.
We're here for Senate Bill 5256. This legislation promotes equity of protection for all victims by modifying provisions for sexual assault protection orders to align them with other protection orders, such as those for domestic violence, stalking, and harassment. Among several important provisions in this regard, the bill eliminates the 2-year cap on sexual assault protection orders, which may now be permanent. I want to thank Senator Fain and the leadership of Representative Roger Goodman, and I'm happily signing this bill.
right, next we're signing House Bill 1543. If you're involved in that, please come up and join the photo. All right, let's go.
We're here for House Bill 1543. This bill protects rape survivors who become pregnant as a result of the rape from being required to co-parent with their attacker. Because rape is one of the most under-prosecuted serious crime, this bill does not require the perpetrator to be convicted of the crime criminally of rape for parental rights to be terminated or denied. Instead, the requirement is a high burden of proof that the alleged perpetrator indeed committed the sexual assault. I want to thank Representative Dolio and Senator Ann Rivers for their work on a very complicated matter to make sure this was done right. And with that, I'm signing this bill. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You definitely get one of those. Is Ann here? Where'd Ann go? Is Ann here? Okay.
All right, next we're doing House Bill 1739. If you were involved in that, please come up and join the photo.
This legislation can only be enacted if the governor gets another pen here for some reason here. Thank you. Right.
Let's go, sir.
Okay, we're here for House Bill 1739. The Crime Victims Compensation Program provides benefits to crime victims, and its benefits are secondary to services available under any other private or public insurance. Today, program payment rates don't keep up with costs. This bill will boost payments to providers of medical and support services by requiring that they may not be less than payments for comparable services under the Workers' Compensation Program. This should increase the number of providers who accept and treat clients, making it faster and easier for victims to get the care they need. I want to thank Representative Gregerson and everyone who's worked on this bill, and I'm happily signing this legislation. Thank you. Good work. Good work. That's it, right?
All right, folks, that was the last bill. I neglected to announce that House Bill 1079 was being signed initially, so we can get those folks to come back up. We'll do a group photo with everyone behind the governor. So if you're involved in House Bill 1079, please come up. We'll do another photo.
Do we have a bill I could, who's got one of the bills I can?
Andy does.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks ready? Look over here for a photo.
Before we leave, can we give these legislators a round of applause for their great work? And can we give them another round of applause for a budget deal they're going to give to me very quickly? Thank you very much.